Ticket Machine is the official ticket broker of Spartan Nation. No matter what you need a ticket for, border to border, coast to coast, the Ticket Machine is your ticket source. So whether you need to get into the hottest concerts, the best sporting events, you want the best seats in the house, or you just want to get in the door, when you want to go to any event that requires a ticket, anywhere, border to border, coast to coast, it's always theticketmachine.com. Theticketmachine.com, 517-655-3201. Check it out today at theticketmachine.com.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back, Spartan Nation. We now bring in Spartan Nation senior writer Johnny Shop to talk some Spartan hoops. Johnny, I have long maintained, as you know, Tom Izzo's best coaching job was Drew Neitzel's junior year, when that team had no business making it to a tournament. Somehow, some way, he held it together. He comes into this season where everyone knows I took a little bit of criticism. No, I took a lot when I said I thought this team would be better in the tournament than last year's team. I didn't think they would have the success of last year's team. Then they lose two pro players and starters in Joshua Langford and Nick Ward. They lose Matt McQuaid for a long period of time, Kyle Arns for a long period of time, and somehow they still remarkably win a Big Ten title, regular season title. Step out of the way, Drew Neitzel's junior year. This is by far Tom Izzo's best coaching job. Your thoughts?
Well, if you look at it just pure talent-wise and what was made out of a roster, you could still definitely make an argument that the Neitzel year, they actually accomplished more, especially getting into as deep in the tournament as they did. This year, with what was taken away during the season and how they were able to manage it, I think you couldn't really dispute that. I could not dispute the claim that has been made by you. The reason being, in reality, there was enough grit and glue. There was enough there for this team to just kind of overachieve when you look at what they lost. And when they lost it during the year, it's not like they lost Nick Ward at the start of the year and they could adjust to it. And it was kind of fitting Saturday night when you saw it was just Tillman time all night. The MVP of that one to me was Mr. Tillman. And you see him and Goins celebrating at the end. They're the two guys maybe that held the glue together. And that is just a fantastic accomplishment. And for sure, you could very easily make an argument, and a successful one, that this was the best coaching job of Tom Izzo. It may not sink in for years to come until you find out how much talent at a professional level was on this roster, how much talent was lost also. But it was a pretty magical mix, and it is amazing to sit here today and look that they've got to share the Big Ten title after everything that went down.
With what Nick Ward did coming back, I do not think Tom Izzo will do this. But if I was Tom Izzo, I think you have to listen. Listen, several analysts and pundits who he respects on national television have even said they agree with this. Does Nick Ward need to take a Mo Pete role now and start coming off the bench? Because, quite frankly, they're better with Xavier Tillman starting with what he offers them defensively and some things he can do differently. I don't think Izzo does it, but I'm saying, would you?
Yeah. Well, it needs to be considered. There's a psyche issue that you got to manage. The days of Morris Peterson, as far as psyche-wise, are not. It's a different world today. I don't know. Not knocking Nick Ward. I just don't know if he could handle that or not. He may be able to handle it for a weekend while he's trying to work back in, if he's ready to go back in, but is he going to be able to handle it for 3 weekends in a row? I don't know. If he can, it would be fantastic, because if you're Michigan State and you go ahead with that game plan, you start Tillman, and you go ahead and you get into a game, you've got some room to adjust if you need to. If you start with Ward and it doesn't go well, I think you have a more difficult time trying to get the chemistry and the flow back. I would see no reason not to stick with Xavier Tillman starting, take some pressure off Nick Ward, and you've got that rare situation where you've got an opportunity for a Morris Peterson, a microwave, Vinnie Johnson, if you go back to the old Pistons days, somebody to come in with energy and some spark that can kind of change the way the game is being played when they come in. That's a pretty large quantity, and something that if they can preserve, Michigan State ought to go ahead and do.
You know, here's my thing. I understand mentally and psychologically. That's why I don't think Izzo does it, because I don't think that Nick Ward is where Mo Pete was. maturation-wise. But, I mean, for the team, talk about the emergence of Xavier Tillman. Defensively and in so many areas, he's offering them stuff that Nick Ward just doesn't offer.
No, blocking shots, getting up and down the floor, some steals, some savvy passing. I like the fact that he goes and takes the dunk when it is possible. The dunk, it remains the highest percentage play in the sport. Even if you don't get every one of them, you're going to get way more than 9 out of 10. There's an intangible awareness. I don't know if you call it spatial awareness of where he is on the court, to where the ball is, to where the ball is going. That's stuff you can't really quantify. And it's not a knock on Ward. He just doesn't have it. Some guys have that special kind of it, and Tillman's got a little bit of that. Saturday night we saw a bunch of it from the start of the game all the way through to that final block he had late as Michigan State was wrapping that thing up.
Johnny, let's now continue on this thread talking about guys. Let's talk about Kenny Goins. I mean, you've heard it a million times from walk-on to where he is, but it's such a great story. I don't think it can be overtold. Talk about Kenny.
No, this is a guy that comes into Michigan State and you see some flashes of, oh, this guy's got some basketball IQ. He's got some spatial awareness. He didn't get a lot of time. He didn't have a lot of success, but it built year after year, and he's turned himself into more of a complete player. He's good on both ends of the court. He's got some of that intangible grit, and he's got an interesting makeup now as far as he can shoot the ball from outside. He's 6'7", so there's some mismatch ability there. He's, nearly the ideal of what you would like out of a 4-year college player who is probably going to have an opportunity to play professionally at some point somewhere. So this is the kind of guy that when you think about Michigan State basketball and Tom Izzo, this is one of the guys that's going to pop into your head quickly when people say, oh, they always had those kind of players, those kind of Kenny Goins type players that got better over time and made a difference and did some winning too. That's kind of a big part of it.
I was talking to an NBA person the other day, and I want to get your thoughts and see if this shocks you. And they brought up Kenny Goins to me, that they think he has a shot. And the reason they think he has a shot is they said he is Dennis Rodman without all of the issues, and he's Dennis Rodman with it. Dennis Rodman had a ton of talent, not necessarily the best work ethic. Now, this person knows Dennis personally and told me that Dennis Rodman used to come in from a night of partying and you'd never know it because he practiced his tail off. And they say, with Kenny, you don't get the baggage, but he has that work ethic type thing. Would you be stunned to see Kenny in the NBA?
No. He kind of carries himself like an NBA player and a pro, and kind of has the whole time. No, I wouldn't, because he's got some size. He's got some of those intangibles. You think that there's an upside for sure to what he can do physically, meaning he can put on even more muscle. He can probably get a little more agile. And there's something, look, NBA teams need some kind of stability and some kind of professionalism. They can't just be totally off the rails. And this is the kind of guy that you could see earning his way into a spot to play. You look at him as just like a traditional San Antonio Spurs type player. Is this a guy that could fit in with the Celtics? You can see that. This is a guy that you could see contributing minutes at the NBA level. It would not be a shock. It doesn't necessarily happen year one. I wouldn't expect it's necessarily going to happen being drafted, but there is space for guys who chip away at it, who get a little bit better. We see some of the Spartans in the NBA, some that have two-way deals, some that have signed in the past. I would not be surprised at all if Kenny Goins is a guy earning an NBA check in, a year or two. Not a surprise at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I want to, talk to you about Cassius Winston. Clearly Big Ten Player of the Year. I think he should be National Player of the Year. Your thoughts on Cash?
Well, I really think he's come a longer way than it appears. He is only a junior. He is not a senior, but it's certainly looking like he's a senior. No, he's come a long way. You can't overstate how big a deal it is to be the point guard at Michigan State. That is a national role and a national figure. It's not that easy to handle. They don't write articles about the point guards from most schools in the New York Times, the Washington Post. This is a national figure with a lot of eyes on him. And as he has taken his steps through the year, his shoulders have gotten broader, and he's taken that rare step to a point where he could put a team on his back a little bit and carry them where they need to go. And that's what reminds some folks of Neitzel. Now we're into tournament time. What is he going to do from here? It's going to be interesting. I think if he can continue to play his game and really make an effort, as he did in the latter part Saturday night, get Michigan State shot selection as much attention as possible. Get Michigan State basketball into the right shots as often as you can. If he does that, then this team is going to be difficult to beat. And again, I remind folks at this time of year, it's not always about being the best team. It's about being the team that's most difficult to beat. Traditionally, Michigan State basketball has done very well at that. That's why they've gone as far as they have in the tournament so many times. If they can be difficult, the most difficult to beat, and get a decent draw, this team has a chance to knock somebody off.
He is Spartan Nation senior writer Johnny Schott. We'll be back in just a second with more completely away from Spartan basketball on the Spartan Nation Radio Network.